San Diegans accomplish great things every day. We care about our neighbors and our community. We are proud of our diversity. We are resilient. We hold our leaders accountable. We live in one of the most dynamic cities in America, the San Diego Union-Tribune, telling San Diego's story for more than 150 years.
Hello, I'm Noelle Norton, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of San Diego.
And I'm Brian Clark, a Vasiliadis Director of USD's Humanities Center.
USD, including the College of Arts and Sciences and the Humanities Center, is proud to be the presenting sponsor for the 2023 San Diego Union-Tribune Festival of Books. This is the festival's second year on campus and the fourth year of our partnership with the Union-Tribune.
Our partnership with the Festival of Books enables us avid readers to come together as a community alongside renowned authors from all over the world and to dive deeply into imaginative stories and meaningful themes.
As a university deeply committed to the liberal arts, USD promotes lifelong learning that ignites curiosity, builds critical connections across disciplines, and equips students to solve complex problems in a variety of ways.
So on behalf of the University of San Diego, we thank you for joining us for today's program to explore the world of books with us.
Enjoy the festival.
Hi, I'm George Varga, the music critic with the San Diego Union-Tribune, and I would like to welcome you to the San Diego Festival of Books digital experience. Today, you're going to be part of an exclusive conversation with the legendary New Orleans singing great Aaron Neville, one-of-a-kind vocal great who has inspired other musicians and people around the world for decades and continues to. He has recorded over more than 50 or 60 years, and all of those recordings, if you hear them, are really captivating. For the following half hour, we're going to have the privilege of flipping through and talking about Aaron Neville's new book, Tell It Like It Is, named after his trademark 1966 hit. In this very intimate memoir, Aaron Neville takes us on a journey through his remarkable life, and it truly is a remarkable life. He shares personal stories, triumphs, adversity, and all the things that have shaped him into the artist that he is today. We'll talk about the inspiration behind the book, the lessons he has learned, the indelible impact his music has had on millions of people worldwide. Without further ado, get ready to hear from and be inspired by the remarkable Aaron Neville and the very welcome opportunity to hear him tell it like it is. Aaron, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Your life is more than a book. It could be a movie. It could be any number of things. And I'm wondering, how did the book come about? At what point did you, or did, I don't know if anyone came to you and told you they would like you to do the book, but kind of talk people through how the book came into being?
Well, it was my idea. I just wanted to be the one to tell my story, so nobody else wouldn't try to tell it after I'm gone and wouldn't know all the details. I knew all the details because I was there.
I'm wondering if you have a photographic memory, the amount of really vivid detail in your book. It's not vague or general. It's like you are taking the reader right there. You're putting them right in your life as it happened. And I'm wondering, did you keep a diary? Do you have an incredible memory?
It's just been in my soul. It's like in my reverie, like one of the songs I heard sing the word reverie. I guess it's your memory, And because like I can hear a song and it can bring me back. I can see faces and from that time or whatever, people I knew.
How long did it take you to complete the book?
A couple of months with great writer Beth. Let me see. I can't remember her last name. But anyway, she was great. And Beth Edelman.
Hmm. And how did the two of you work on it? Were you like literally elbow by elbow or
No, like
remote or
right now. Like she was at her house, I was here.
what what did you want the book to be and what did you maybe want the book not to be?
Like I said, I didn't want to be told by somebody else that didn't know my history. You know, I wanted to be the one to tell it like it is.
Um, I've read a lot of memoirs by great musicians, and a lot of times you don't hear their voice. You can tell somebody else is writing it for them. In this book, I hear your voice throughout. How easy or difficult was it to do that?
That was the first thing Beth said. She said, "I want it in your voice, not mine." So hey, it was easy.
Um, did you look back? Oh, I'm wondering, in putting the book together, and this may or may not be a good example, but a number of years ago, there was a Beatles anthology, and it turned out that the Beatles had what they called collective amnesia, and that is certain things they remembered really well. For example, the first time they played at Shea Stadium in New York, none of them remembered that they played there a year later, a second time. They're totally out of their memory. I'm wondering if in putting your book together, were there things that until you put the book together, you went, whoa, I didn't remember that.
No, I went year by year, you know, and it would come to me like I said, it's in here, it's inside of me. So you know, it was easy. I mean,
In your
easy.
book,
It was emotional, you know.
right. So in your book, you write about being a very young, early fan of the great Nat King Cole.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I asked you right now to sing the opening of Mona Lisa, could you do that?
Mona Lisa, man had named you. I mean, I got asthma and smoking been bothering me, so made it, you know, hope that was enough.
You grew up in New Orleans, and I would argue that there is no place in America and arguably in the world that has a more deep, vibrant cultural fabric and phenomenal music. And you grew up in an incredibly musical family. Did it seem almost preordained to you that you would be in music for your life?
Well, I would say so. Like my mother and my Uncle Jolly, Big Chief Jolly, they were a song and dance team before we were born. And they had a chance to go on the road with Louis Prima, you know, back in the 30s or 40s, whenever it was. And my grandmother wouldn't let them go because of the Jim Crow laws and down south, you know. And so they passed up their dream and promised they would never stop any of us from following our dream.
Your older brother Art, how important was, I mean, all your brothers obviously were important, but he was like the first. So was he kind of like paving the way for you and kind of like a mentor maybe?
Yeah, he started out in the project, Calliope Projects in New Orleans. Him and a guy named Izaku Gordon, we call him Iziku, and a guy named Turk. They had a group, they would sit out on a park bench, and we had a big oval play area, you know, and they'd sit out there and harmonize. They used to run me away when I first come. Get away from me, kid, you know, till they figured I could hold a note. I was about 11 years old, maybe. And the guy Izaku, he called me Kevin for some reason. I didn't care what he called me as long as he let me sing with him. He said, "You hit this note," and they showed me how to do the harmonies and all, you know. So a couple of times, you know, I've done all the harmonies on some of the songs, like the Mickey Mouse March, the thing I did with Rob Wasserman, Stardust, and a couple of Neville things I did, like Bird on the Wire. I'm singing all the background.
I didn't hear you back then, but it would be clear that you had a golden, one-of-a-kind voice. And I think you were a kid and that voice would get you into movie theaters for free. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I'd go to the movie at the Gym Theater, and I'd sing something like Mona Lisa, or Pretend by Nat King Cole, or had a song called Wheel of Fortune I would sing, and they let me in free.
Well, that would have to be pretty cool for a kid to be able to do that.
Then they gave me candy.
Even better.
Yeah.
So you're 16 years old, and a number of things happen in that year. You meet the young lady who will become your wife. You go on a first date to a drive-in movie, and you steal a car to go to that drive-in movie. If somebody is reading this, it almost seems unreal, and it almost seems really romantic and unreal. How does it feel to you?
Well, it was romantic, and it was real. It was like, and cars were so easy to steal back then. It was ridiculous. All you needed was the silver paper out of a pack of cigarettes, and you put it behind the ignition on the 3 screws, and put it in neutral, and the car started. So I don't know who did that, but
Right.
it got me in a lot of trouble.
I bet it did. And also, when you were 16, correct me if I'm wrong, is the first time that you encountered heroin?
Yeah. I also got this tattoo for my 16th birthday. Stuck in stupid. That's all I can say. Because I look at it now and say, why did you do that?
And that tattoo, for people who don't know, is a cross. Is that correct?
It's a dagger.
A dagger.
People think it's a cross.
It's a dagger. And what did that represent to you as a 16-year-old to have that tattoo?
I mean, when I was in the Cali Project, I used to see guys that like cross like here. One guy had a skull and crossbone. This was almost a skull and crossbone. I'm glad it was. My dad would have killed me. So it's enough he made me scrub my face with Brillo pad and Octagon soap. The skin came off, but the tattoo, was there.
Right. Willpower is difficult to, we know what it is. In reading your book, I mean, you were put in jail at a very young age. You got out. You had a little success in music. You worked as a longshoreman. Drugs were coming in and out of your life for a number of years. And yet what I get out of this is this incredible drive and willpower that gave you the ability to endure, and to not only endure, but to rise above the adversity that you had in your life. Hindsight is 2020. At the time, were you able to look down and see that this road is going to eventually straighten out and there is light at the end of the tunnel, or was that not immediately apparent to you?
It was not apparent. I had blinders on, but in those days, I was just in a one-track mind. Because, a lot of people say, well, I did this because my parent, nobody, I'd done that because I wanted to do it. I had heard about it in the Cali Project, and my brother Charles and his girlfriend, I saw them do it, and I said, I want to do it. And I was gigging, making a little money, playing in a band called the Avalons, which was run by the high school music teacher, Solomon Spencer, making $20 a night. That was big money back then, So I told them I wanted to do it, and I gave them the money to score, and they scored. The first day they talked me out of it. You shouldn't do this. And I looked at them and said, okay. And the next day I said, I'm going to give you some more money and I want to do it. And hey, I was determined. I didn't realize what kind of treacherous road it would take me down,
The great saxophonist James Moody lived here in San Diego, and he he used to tell me what it was like to grow up in the South in a segregated country. and he told me that right after World War II, he went to Paris, France, and it was the first time that he felt like he was a human being. He said, I didn't want to be treated better than anyone else, but I wanted to be treated with the
Equal.
same respect as everyone else. You didn't go to Europe until, I believe, the 1980s,
Oh
but
yeah.
a theme in your book is the segregation, the Jim Crow era that you talk about, the incredible racism that you face, not simply you, but unfortunately any Black American. Um, and I'm just wondering, for the benefit of younger people who were born after that and may not be aware of just how awful it was, what would you tell them about that time?
Well, it should be in the history books in school, really, because like it happened. Like, segregation, in New Orleans, you knew where to go and where not to go, but sometimes you'd venture off in the wrong area. And then your neighborhood, the police and the precincts, we were like their playthings. They'd come around and harass us. One time the police called him Turtle. I'm sitting on my mother's step. Hey, Aaron, come here, get in the car. Say, what you bring me to jail for? Oh, we're thinking something about time to get over there, stuff like that. Like Dr. John, he used to like to go to the Dewdrop Inn. That was a Black club in New Orleans. Any big stars came down, they came to the Dewdrop. And they took Dr. John to jail for playing with Black musicians. And he told him, so you're going to have to come back and get me again next week because Ray Charles going to be in. I'm going to definitely be in this. Yeah, it was nuts, man, And like later on out with Larry Williams, it was like he's driving around in a powder blue Lincoln Continental with a bumper sticker saying, I stopped for blondes. I said, oh, Larry. Well, he's from New Orleans, but I guess he was raised in California or something,
Right.
And that was
Yeah, I was lucky enough one time to interview Miles Davis, and he would talk about he'd be driving in his red Ferrari convertible, and the police would pull him over and say, "Who do you work for to have a Ferrari like that?" And he would say, "Who the hell do you think I work for? I work for me." So you mentioned Larry Williams, who was a great musician who never got the acclaim that he deserved. You were a kid when you went on the road with him, and here you are.
19, yeah.
I mean, were your eyes wide open? I mean, it just seems like that would have been pretty phenomenal.
Oh, it was like, how it started out. They played a gig. First of all, he took my brother Art and his band, the Hawkettes, out on the road in 1957. And told him, I'll be back for you, little brother. So 1960, they were playing at the Municipal Auditorium in New Orleans. Jackie Wilson was headlining, and then Larry, and I forget who else was on the show, but Larry had a thing where he'd come off the stage and rile the crowd up and things. And he doing this thing, and this black police named Perry White, come up to him and put his stick in his face. Get back on the stage. And I said, man, this part of my act. So Jackie came out and said, officer, what's wrong with this? Larry Williams, he's starting the show, I don't care what it. Pushed him in, and he swung at Jackie, and Jackie blocked it. Jackie used to be a boxer, I think, and Jackie hit him. And when Jackie hit him and knocked him down, the rest of the police came and they popped Jackie's head. I mean, he had to go get stitches in his head, so he missed a lot of the shows. And that's when I went on the road with Larry Williams, 1960, 19 years old.
I'm bad at math, but I think 6 or 7 years later, maybe not that long, you were on the road with Otis. And I'm just wondering, you had the opportunity very early on to work with your family, who were really talented, to go out on the road with Larry Williams, to work with Jackie Wilson and with Otis Redding and all these great people. Were you like a musical sponge? Were you absorbing everything you were hearing from them?
definitely. I was like, I was starstruck. Oh wow, there's so and so, and hanging out with guys like Billy Guy with the Coasters and the Isley Brothers, and it was fascinating to me. Ray Charles.
And I believe around 1967, you were playing, I think, in Florida, and Jimi Hendrix came and sat in with you.
Yeah, that was
What do you
amazing.
remember about that night?
I remember he came and I told him I was a fan of his. He said, "I'm a fan of yours, but this great song." He played a solo on "Tell Like It Is." Then he
Wow.
played. I was doing "Knock on Wood" by Eddie Flood. He played a solo on that. I mean, he was killing. That was real special.
I bet. So Tell It Like It Is obviously is your signature song. So
Yeah,
reading your book, I had to laugh when I read that when you first heard the song played for you, you thought it was, quote, mediocre.
yeah, because
Um,
everybody had up
so
tempo songs. My brother always said, "No, that's it." And he was right.
again, hindsight is 2020, but how long did it take you to realize this song is going to be with me for a long time?
Didn't take long. I mean, it was like it, I got to the Apollo Theater on that, and like you said, toured with Otis Redding, and it's started being my signature song. I had to sing it every night and loved it. I remember being at the Apollo and the guy Rocky G, he was the disc jockey who promoted the show. He was on the side of the stage, and I could hear him singing. Damn, he sounds just like the record. I thought you were supposed to sound like the record.
What I think what a lot of people don't realize is you have a hit record and you think, okay, that's it. You're on easy street from here on out. But the
Yeah,
fact is that in barely a year, you were back in New Orleans working as a longshoreman.
right.
Um, so there's kind of the reality of being in music and having a hit record, and then you're doing hard labor, and the public perception that you have this hit record, and it's all gold from there. So what would you tell someone about the difference between the perception and the reality? Because you write that you thought from that point on it was all going to be easygoing, and it wasn't.
Well,
So
it definitely,
what did you learn about the music industry from that?
well, I learned that record companies have their lawyers, and their lawyers will tell you to sign this, and you sign it because you don't know what there to and those. Like I said, there to all them big words in the contracts, and like I used to tell kids, well, what about the music business? I say, man, find some kind of backup job because you don't know what's going to happen with this business.
Um, you write in the book, and this is really moving, um, that when you sang, you felt a big connection with God, and that quote, "When I wasn't singing, I was an angry, drugged out thug with a voice like an angel, uh, but no reason to be one." Um, can you elaborate on that? Because you do have a voice like an angel, and the reality of life is that no one I know can live like an angel. And so you had these two, almost maybe tug of war would be the wrong word, but these two very different powers or forces. This angelic voice that made you feel connected with something greater than yourself, and then the reality of a very challenging, rough and tumble life. So talk about coming to get a balance between the two, if you would.
Well, I used to call it medicine, because it was medicine to me. It was times when I was down and out, and I remember one time I was sitting in the gutter around by the barroom, and that was the time of Joel that my wife had left and went by her mom and took the kids, and I was just lost, And I started singing Ave Maria. I didn't know the words. I just knew the refrain part, but it was enough to go through me like some kind of medicine. And I got up out of the gutter and walked on off, and I was glad when Linda suggested I recorded on that first on my album that she produced with George
Linda
Massenburg.
Ronstadt.
Yeah, Linda Ronstadt. So
I'd like to talk to you in a moment about your collaborating with her, but I think people, if they don't know, should know how important St. Jude is to you and why. If you wouldn't mind talking about that, please.
St. Jude, well, my mom would see me get in trouble doing dumb stuff, you know. I call it stuck and stupid at that time, you know. And she would bring me to St. Jude Shrine at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church on Rampart Street. And they had a shrine to St. Anne on Ursuline Street where you crawl the steps on your knees. And she'd bring me there, and, you know, and so, I mean, they were with me trying to show me the way, but I guess I was, you know, what you would call it, like I said, stuck and stupid, and still had a lot of stupid stuff to do, you know.
You were in and out of jail and prison because of drugs. And I don't want to simplify, but in reading your book, it sounds like around 1981, the Neville brothers were performing at Tipitina's in New Orleans. Bette Midler was there and going nuts. Bette Midler gets on the phone, calls A&M Records, says, you got to sign these guys. And then you went into rehab and you've been clean ever since. Is that simplifying it, or did it really happen like that?
Not clean ever since, because that did happen. She called Jerry Moss and Al, what's his name?
Al Moss? Jerry Moss and Al, yeah. Got it.
Yeah, anyway, and so I said to myself, it's time for me to get things right. And the manager at the time, his name was Bill Johnson, he set it up so when we finished the recording, I could go into rehab at this place called DePaul. It used to be a sanitarium. It was the right place to be. So anyway, I had to do this Neville Brothers album in New York, Fire on the Bayou. And I had brought enough drugs up there to hold me up till I got back. And I remember 3 o'clock in the morning, a friend of mine, John Brenner from Petaluma, California, he had loaned me his little cassette player. And I had a Wurlitzer piano in the room. And this guy named Elliot something, he was interviewing us about the record, you know. And he in the room by 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm playing spirituals. And I'm scared, you know, like I know about the streets, but I don't know about the unknown, you know, like getting clean. So, but I want it bad, you know, and I'm singing Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers, and there's a poem that I had to stand up in front of the class when I was about 6 years old, and called Lovely Lady Dressed in Blue, Teach Me How to Pray. And I sit there and like somebody told me how to play it in the music, and I finally recorded it on the album To Make Me Who I Am. And so a lot of things happened on that session. Like I was ready, you know. I did the song Mona Lisa and dedicated to my mom and dad. And Wardell Cozier, he was the guy from New Orleans. He did a lot of arrangements for a bunch of people, you know. And Joe Dawn, who was a producer, he got Leon Pendarvis, who was a keyboard player for Saturday Night Live, and he got Wardell, both of them to write charts out for Mona Lisa. He asked Wardell, so do you need a piano in your room? Wardell said, no, just give me a tuning fork. He wrote the charts with a tuning fork. I don't know how to do it. But
Wow.
Anyway, and we were in the studio. It played Leon's. It was great. I mean, killer, you know. Then the New York string players were like snickering at Wardell like he was a country bumpkin or something, you know. And he gave them the music, and they played it. And when they finished, they had to stand up and hit their things on the music stand. I had tears in my eyes. I said, "Get that man his props," you know. So Wardell wrote the hell out of that chart. And,
You did, and that was kind of like a full circle moment because you were a kid, you're singing Mona Lisa, here you are decades later doing this beautiful version. What do you hope people will take from your book when they read it? What would you? I mean, everyone will take something different, but is there something that you really hope they will take away from reading about your life?
Well, some things you do and some things you don't. You know, um, like my mother used to tell me, follow the golden rule: treat people like you want to be treated, and you know, and trouble is hard to get in. I mean, easy to get in and hard to get out. Remember that.
Would you be open to a film being made based on your book?
Sure, that'd be cool.
So I could see the middle-aged you being played by Denzel Washington. How would that be with you?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I love Denzel. He's a man.
And who do you think would be good for the younger you?
Probably my son. One
That
of
would
them.
make sense. When the book was complete, I think if I were to come up with one word about your book, it would be honest. There's nothing here that rings false.
No,
It doesn't seem like you tried to sugarcoat anything.
I
That's
told
my assumption. You tell me.
I told her like it was. You know, I was there, and none of the names were changed to protect the innocent, because everybody was guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, toward the end of the book, you say, I'm 82, I'm retired, and I just won a Grammy Award. I don't think it will be my last. So are you really retired?
I'm retired. Yeah, my asthma kicked in, and after the pandemic and whatever you call it came, and
Pandemic?
I was getting ready to go to California, and Sarah, my wife, said, "Aaron, I don't think you should get on the plane for no 6 hours going." You know, at the time people were getting different places, and they would take your temperature, and if you had any kind of fever, they'd put you in quarantine, and people were dying without even seeing the people anymore. So she saved me another time. I'm glad I didn't go.
Remember back in the late 1980s, early 1990s, I was in New Orleans to go to Jazz Fest, which the Neville brothers were the closing act at for so many years. And I was at a little hole in the wall, and there was a little on the wall where you made your order. It was only takeout food. A little sign that somebody had knitted, and it said, "Life without music is a mistake." And I'm wondering, can you envision your life without music? Would that have even been possible?
I can't envision my life without music or being with my brothers or coming up in New Orleans. You know, I'm so glad New Orleans raised me, along with some other people.
I was lucky enough to see the Neville brothers, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 times over the years, including at Tipitina's, which was really special. The four of you together had something that I just haven't heard anyone ever have. I guess we could call it music magic. That's me as an outsider. I'm wondering, what did it feel like to you being one of those four and connecting with your brothers?
Well, my brother Art was the engineer. He was driving. He was the funkster. Him and Cyril with the funksters. You know, they were with the group, the Meters. You know, and Charles was the blowingest cat I ever knew. Charles could take you to Arabia or China, anywhere on his horn. And I used to say we were four brothers that turned into a fist, you know. And when we hooked up with Bill Graham, he was another fist that knocked a lot of barriers down for us, you know. Because I always said if there were a concert on the moon, Bill Graham would have been the promoter. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bill Graham, correct me if I'm wrong, and you write about it in your book, he really got the music, and he wanted that music to be heard by more people, and he kind of opened different doors. So here's the Neville brothers with the Grateful Dead being introduced to their audience. Here you are with the Rolling Stones. Here you are on the Amnesty International tour with U2 and Lou Reed and Sting. So I've always had a feeling that great music is great music, and it doesn't make it any less great if not enough people hear it, but that what is really important is that they have that opportunity to hear it. So it seems like Bill Graham was a pivotal guy in getting the Neville brothers heard by more people. What do you remember about Bill?
He was definitely the catalyst to get the Neville brothers around the world, you know. Like, cause we saw us at Tipitina's. At one time we were stuck there. We were playing Tipitina's, Jazz, Jimmy's, and Bill Graham opened so many doors for us. You know, I remember we were playing at this place in San Francisco called Great American Music Hall, and he said, "You know, I was feeling bad. I was getting ready to leave, and y'all started playing. Man, I'm feeling all right." He said, "They ought to make a Neville pill." I never forget that. He was, you know. He was one of a kind. He had another saying.
For sure, and you were one of a kind. And so last question, 50 or 100 years from now, when people get to the name Aaron Neville, what do you hope they're going to think or remember?
I just hope they can listen and enjoy, appreciate, and say, wow, he was kind of all right. You know?
Well, it's a really captivating book, Tell It Like It Is by Aaron Neville. It's been an honor to talk with you. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to talk about your life and your book. People can visit the Union-Tribune Festival of Books bookstore online at bookshop.org if they'd like to find out more about your book or get a copy. The link is on the bottom of the screen right now. And by making this purchase of Tell It Like It Is, you will be supporting the festival's independent booksellers and contribute to the vitality and growth of small businesses and our literary community, which are really important. And finally, we'd like to extend an invitation to you to join us in donating to the San Diego Council on Literacy, our nonprofit partner. The power of literacy is truly life-changing, and your contribution helps to provide access to this skill for many individuals. You can donate by visiting the festival website at sandiegofestivalbooks.com and clicking the Donate tab. And you can continue to view the festival's on-demand videos and live-streamed author panels at sdfestivalsofbooks.com. I'd like to thank you for being a part of the San Diego Festival Books Digital Experience. You're a true great, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much.
And I love people. I love the world. I wish they'd love each other, you know, more.
Well, you're a great example of that. Thank you again. It's really an honor to talk with you again.
Nah.
A liberal arts education is at the core of the University of San Diego. The liberal arts,
Really cool.
spanning from the humanities and arts to natural and social sciences, enable students to navigate their way in the world and to have the tools to solve complex problems in a variety of ways. There's a lot of evidence that shows a strong liberal arts education prepares you not for your first or your second job, but for your life.
We use our phones to order food, share our stories, and so much more. SDCCU made banking from your mobile device easy too. You can do so much. Get up-to-date account balances, deposit checks, and more, safely and securely, all through the convenience of your smartphone. Get all of this and more with free checking with e-statements. SDCCU, it's not big bank banking, it's better.